wise man once said that instead of worrying and nagging about the dark, every one of us should light a candle. And doesn't the darkness prove the existence of light anyway? Even the inner light we all seek and long for, whether we admit it or not. Jon Foreman is one of my favorite musicians, always able to ignite some fireworks in the midst of that darkness surrounding us. We meet in Hamburg, while Jon is on tour with his band Switchfoot. A true honor for me. I'm seeing a Grammy winner, one of the best songwriters around, and a brother in spirit.
Caroline, middle finger queen of the never mind. It's been a little while since the second time I knew that you never come home. Caroline, you were just a child in the fire line. You were just a kid when your mama died, and daddy couldn't make it alone. And no wonder out loud where your heart is now, where your heart is now, where your heart is now, where your heart is now. Caroline, Caroline. Now and then you're in the magazines, the tabloid rags and the trash machines, spitting on the image of the memories of a girl with the pigtails flying. I had a dream that you were calling home, stranded in the storm on a payphone. All that you were getting was a dial tone with no one on the end of the line. Yeah, I no wonder out loud where your heart is now, where your heart is now, where your heart is now, where your heart is now. Caroline, Caroline.
Jon, what a pleasure and honor to have you here.
Yeah, good to be here.
Good to see you, man.
Yeah.
When I think about Switchfoot, the first thing that comes to my mind is the amount of positive energy on your albums and in your live shows. It's amazing that it seems that you and the guys seem to be celebrating life in the music and seem to be like pouring out love and hope. It's like in every note you play or in every word you sing. Would that be a headline for your art? Like trying to leave drops of love and hope in the hearts of the people?
Yeah, I mean, that'd be a beautiful headline. I think for me, that the songs are often looking for hope and looking for truth and looking for meaning and purpose. So to have you say that the songs get there, that means a lot, because it's many songs start from a dark place and are looking for the light.
I think that as a sensitive poet or writer of rock songs, you have the chance to either to watch the cruelty and the shit in the world going on and to make sad and dark and hopeless songs of it, or to turn it around as you guys do for me and you do in all your work, and to focus on the way out, to focus on the faith and hope and love. I read an interview with you, I think that was when Vice Versus was released. I found that quote so great, where you said, you're not singing about the darkness, you're singing through the darkness.
Yeah. It is like, it's it makes a lot of sense to give up sometimes, because it feels like, what can any one human soul do, or what can a collection of people that want to see change do? So you can see what's going on in the world, and I think in whatever your occupation, songwriting, or whether you're a coffee shop owner or whatever it is, you can feel like, I give up. But I keep coming back to the idea that I think when I begin by asking for light and opening my eyes not just to the darkness, because the darkness is there, but the light is also there. There's always things to be thankful for, and I think that's where I try and begin my day, is by saying, I still have 2 arms. I still have, I still have friends. I can see sparks in people's eyes. I can see flowers. I can see the blue sky. Okay, let's start there,
Yeah. Did you have to learn that, or was that there ever since?
I think I'm a pretty positive guy. Like when I was a kid, I was pretty happy. And I think the anger and darkness and fear comes later for me, and then I had to figure out a way through it. I think, a lot of the songs on my new solo project, it deals with the cycles of light that we deal with every day, so like sunlight, shadows, darkness, dawn, 24 hours of chasing the light and the darkness, and there's a song on the first EP that talks about the masks that we wear, because we all cover ourselves up with personas and identities, and the reason for that is because we've been hurt, and it feels horrible, so we think, okay, I'm gonna protect myself, but the problem is that those walls, yes, it helps protect you, but joy doesn't come in either, so you miss both the dark and the light, and you're just isolated.
Yeah.
So I try and live my life without walls. There's certainly things that I've built up over the years, but I try and tear them down.
Yeah. And that's a conscious thing?
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes it goes against what I want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love your solo work too. When you mentioned now the new set of EPs, the first set of solo EPs you did, it's like spring, summer, fall, and winter.
Yeah.
Mean a lot to me on a personal level. It's great that I have the chance to thank you for making those albums. Really carried me through some rough times in my life. And the new set of EPs, it's called The Wonderlands.
Yeah.
It's like a headline for them.
Yeah.
And I read that those are 24 songs about 24 hours of the day. Is that true?
Yeah, so there's going to be 24 songs that line up with every hour of the day. And then at the end, I'm going to have I think we're going to do 25 concerts in 24 hours. So like all the way around the clock.
Yeah.
And it's a celebration of the breath that we have, and it's this absurd goal, just to kind of say, well, we're alive. What if we tried to do this?
Yeah. To me, it sounds spontaneously. It sounds like a metaphor for life itself. 24 hours thing. A circle is always.
Yeah.
Everything seems to be going in circles.
Yeah, and the idea that like music for me was always, when you're talking about the struggle for identity, the struggle for hope, meaning, music was like a place that I could go. Whether it was somebody else's songs or writing my own song, it was this place where I could wrestle with these issues in a safe environment. And so the goal with the Wonderlands is to actually create a world, like a planet that exists, just built out of melody and lyric.
Yeah.
And so it's fun.
I'm looking forward to hearing them all. I heard the first one, Sunlight, came out last week, so I had the chance to hear it. It's great.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. coming back to your views and your songwriting, I heard you say in an interview, and it suits what you just said. In songwriting, you find a way to express thoughts and emotions, to get access to that you normally don't communicate. That is the art of finding that space in you. Is that like connecting with the light? Could you describe the place where your art spreads from?
Yeah. So, I always equate songwriting with archaeology, where every day you pick up a shovel and you just start digging. And sometimes you dig and you just get dirt, and then other times you dig and you discover like this lost artifact, and it feels like it was maybe from a time before you, or maybe you didn't even know it was there. And that those songs feel like they don't have your fingerprints on it. It's not like you built a song. It's like you just discovered it, and it was always there. You know, those are my favorite songs.
Yeah.
And I think that for me, music, I'm a pretty personal guy. I don't know how to talk about things very well. There's things that are just tricky to talk about: God, girls, death, politics, you know. Yeah. And whereas in a song, you can sing a song about any of those things in front of thousands of people, yeah. And suddenly it's okay, you know. So that's one of the things that I take full advantage of with music.
Isn't that nice? It's like you can almost say that you're not responsible for it. I know that from myself from writing songs. It's just like they come flying, and I only write when they come flying. Otherwise, I don't try.
Yeah.
It's like, as you say, it's none of your fingerprints on it. It's like,
yeah,
they come from another place. Do you have the feeling sometimes?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, but I feel like, you know, the idea of transcendence, of if you think of the human experience as being tied to the present. We look back at the past, we look forward to the future, but we are tied to the present. And we're tied to this one specific location. I'm tied to this body, you know. This is all I can see. And then you think of love or grace, God, the idea of beauty shining through, that for me signifies the idea of the infinite stepping into the finite, you know, and embodying the present tense, even though it's not bound to the present tense like I am. And I feel like sometimes that's where the songs come, where they just come shining through from somewhere else that's bigger than this place.
It's like a holy place you really can't describe.
Yeah,
It's the mystery of it.
Absolutely. And I think that's something that I love about songwriting, just the mystery, where you, it feels like it is like that holy thing where you think, and it's not to, it doesn't feel self-aggrandizing. It doesn't feel like it's it makes me smaller in the process rather than bigger.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, one of the reasons I was looking so much forward to this talk, apart from me being a huge fan of Switchfoot and your other work, is like you're a book reader too. And I think I can say that now because all my friends are here. None of my friends ever read Søren Kierkegaard.
Yeah.
And I heard in an interview that you were talking about Søren Kierkegaard and other existentialists and philosophers and German theologians like Dietrich Bonhoeffer. You read that all.
Uh-huh.
And I'm getting to that point because there's a book by Kierkegaard, The Sickness Unto Death. I don't know if you read that.
Mm-hmm. I read parts of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's about the human struggle.
Mm-hmm.
And I find a lot of that atmosphere or thought in your lyrics too, because I can sense the struggling, what you said before. It's like trying to find an expression for hope and for love in a lot of misery and sadness we see all the time.
Yeah, and then I mean, there's the other side of it is the idea that even the darkness and our dissatisfaction and frustration and anger with the darkness is almost a sort of inverse proof for the light. Like, why would we desire light if all we've known is darkness? You know, and why?
On the other hand, how could we like treasure the light if we wouldn't see the darkness?
Yeah. And those are, I mean, for me, that those kind of questions. I used to think that I needed to figure out a way to answer them in a song, and I still look for meaning and answers in all of those things, and sometimes in music. But I'm coming to a place now where I think sometimes it's almost better to sing the question than to sing the answer. You know, it's just more honest. And the idea of just saying I don't know, but I know that there's truth in here somewhere, and I know that there's meaning and joy and purpose within the decay and the death. You know.
Yeah. Another thing I found very interesting when I think that was from an older interview I saw on YouTube. You said it's pretty easy for you to believe in God, but it's harder to get to the point of believing that God loves you or any of us.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a hard time with that.
Yeah. It's funny because I think in your music is like this, as I said before, this focus on love and hope. Is that you write your songs, let's say like, love alone is worth the fight, or your love is strong, or
I've written like 40 songs all about trying to figure that out.
Yeah, and that's great, because I think it's so touching for anyone who hears it. And is it like you're trying to find a way to feel the love in your writing?
Yeah. I mean, I just, like, logically, I can say, okay, well, I mean, everything has to have an origin. I could believe that there was a God who put this into motion, you know, and I can believe that all the physical laws that we experience and the way that the sound interacts with our ears and the light interacts with our eyes, all these things are very complex, and I can like the idea that there would be a being that would put this into motion, that feels like that doesn't feel that hard to believe. The hard thing is with the state of the world the way it is, with the state of my heart the way it is, thinking that same deity that began time and space would actually care and enjoy my own corner of the world. That's the wrestle for me. And that's why I write songs about it all the time. And so they're like, when I'm asking questions in songs, they're not like rhetorical questions that I've got the answer to. I'm literally pulling the thread, trying to figure it out, you know. And you know, I maybe I'll be writing that song for the rest of my life, you know.
Yeah.
But I on the EPs, in the next EP, there's a song that comes out called "Your Love Is Enough," and it's kind of a continuation on that theme. You know, I feel like that's where those are the things that keep me up at night, and so that's where a lot of the songs come from.
Yeah, and I know you avoid to be stamped a Christian artist or a Christian band or whatever, but there's so much spirituality in your music, and I know you come from a Christian background. Your mom and dad were pastors and musicians.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, and you know, like, I think for me the conversation of Christian, I love the conversation, because I think it it's at the heart of the human experience. And I feel like as Christians have drawn lines and segregated and separated, and they say this is holy, this is unholy. Yeah. And this is where God belongs and God does not belong here. And for me, the reason why I have such a hard time saying Christian music is what we do is not because I'm always honored to be affiliated with Christ, this incredible iconoclast who gave himself for the poor and the broken, and we can talk about Christ all day. It's the separation that says, oh no, this is for us, and that's for them, or that's for them, this is for us. And I as a musician, I want to see no we or they. I want to just see the whole world as we. And I want to, for me, the God that I believe in isn't afraid of the darkness. He is longing to light up the darkness. And so that's why for me, like the term Christian, Kierkegaard talks about Christendom,
right,
which is like the church as a mechanism rather than as living out the love of God. And I feel like I want to be reaching out. I want to throw my arms around and figure out how to bring people, I want to figure it out with people rather than against them,
Where your heart is now, where your heart is now, Caroline, Caroline. They say your heart is where your treasure is, but maybe there's another way to measure it. 'Cause it feels like what you find your pleasure in are the things that are bringing you down. Yeah, and every now and then I wonder if you ever make it home again, back to the childhood innocence of a girl on the old playground. Yeah, and I wonder out loud where your heart is now, 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 where your heart is now.